Hey guys, Matrix here, otherwise known as Cygnus. I used to be an OSU player and then an OSU mapper, which I still am, and now a composer. It pretty much composes. It takes up pretty much all my time now. It's basically all I do outside of school and work. So if I have free time, I am basically just making music now. And anyway, as many of you probably already know, um, well, if you're watching my channel, you probably know I released an album a couple months ago called "The Evolution of War," which was the title was inspired by a BMS of Fighters um, name, but I don't remember what year it was. It might have been 2012, 2011, something like that. But it came from well, it didn't come from, but it was the BMS of Fighters that The Lost Dedicated was composed in. And this song has been a pretty big inspiration to me. And I tried to take much influence from the sound that song felt as if it had. I kind of, imagined my own, I kind of had my own interpretations of the ways that YST in particular um, how do I put this? The ways he was thinking while he was choosing the sounds he was using, the way he was thinking, the way when he was composing the actual song, whatever frame of mind he was in when he was working on that song. Because it's always been a rather special song to me. Um, it's something I wanted to eventually make songs like. I do believe I have some songs that I've composed that um, really do pay a lot of homage to just that style in general. None of the songs from the Evolution of War ended up succeeding at doing that, I would say, but they do have a very interesting texture to them in general. I don't think any of them are particularly well mixed, not compared to my recent works at least. They the way they go, the way they progress is rather random at times. It feels like a combination of a lot of ideas, uh, good and bad. There are some songs in here that I still like a lot, despite them being very, very compressed and having poor mixing for the most part. The compression really was most of the issue on this album. I just wish I was using a different compressor at the time. Most of these were done on Maximus, and well, Maximus is a good compressor if you know how to use it. But I do feel like you essentially need to have like a PhD to fucking understand that thing. I don't know how to use Maximus very well. Nowadays, I use a different compressor, and that's that. But anyway, what I want to do today is, I guess, go over the songs that I have in here, talk about them a little bit, my motivations, my no, my inspirations for a lot of them in specific, the reasons I went for the particular sound choices that I did, um, the goal for each track and whatnot. Um, a lot of these are very, very special to me, despite them. Again, like I'm not particularly pleased with too many of them at this point, especially as I keep getting better. But yeah, I'm probably just rambling at this point, but 4 minutes in and already haven't even started. But yeah, I just felt like saying all that stuff. I guess I will clarify before we begin. This video is mostly for me. I want to be able to look back at this, just remember the frame of mind I was in when I was, working on these songs. Which now it's already kind of too late for that, but I do recall the frame of mind I was in when I was working on these, and just like the absolute, passion and motivation, and just I don't know, overall happiness I felt while going through and composing these and getting better and better at making music. Even now, I mean, I still have so much to learn. You don't really stop learning when you make music. You keep getting better and better, but you're never gonna stop improving. Um, anyway, yeah. So the first song, Mortem Apatere. No idea if I said that right. It's I gave it a Latin title. Mm, I just think Latin can look cool. There wasn't any particular reason for the name, I guess. I did look at the translations of many of these, and this one was to meet a cruel death, if I recall correctly. Um, that's bit on the edgy side, but why not? I'm a fan of gothic music, and that kind of title just feels like it fits the song. Something I wanted to do was have like kind of like a harpsichord organ type piece at the start of the album, just to give it a really nice gothic feel. This was composed for the absolute purpose of it being the intro song to the album. So yeah, I'll play little bits of this and comment on it. I'm not going to play like the whole songs. I'm going to play portions of them and just comment on anything I feel like, because I would be here for too long. This album is, I don't remember how long is this, 50 minutes in length. We're not going to listen to all that. I don't know, I do have time for it, but I that's not the time I want to spend today. So yeah. So immediately it kicks into like this really evil like choir. There's two choirs going on here. The very high pitched one, and the one in the sounds more like a voice. I believe it is saying certain phonemes. I don't recall what I put. This was the East-West Symphonic Choirs. Yeah, and it has this word builder where you can just write words, and for each note that it plays, it will progress through the sentence, and that's what was going on there. This organ didn't come from a synthesizer, it's a sound font file. I'm not quite sure how sound fonts actually work. If I had to guess, it might be like there is a bunch of audio files within it, and it's like it's not generating the sound itself. It probably has a bunch of audio files for each pitch of the actual organ, like maybe a recorded organ. I don't know. It doesn't sound particularly fantastic. I'm just guessing that's how it was done anyway. But as far as a lot of my sound choice goes, especially in this album, is I really liked old sounds, sampling CDs. I was heavily into sampling, especially when I first started. Lately, on my newer albums, I haven't really been doing too much sampling. I mostly just write music and synthesizers, and I mean, of course, I'll pull like kicks and snares and hi-hats and whatnot from sampling CDs. But for the most part, I'm not my leads aren't from sampling CDs anymore, which a lot of them were in this whole album in general, especially Cry for the Infinity, my other album, like Psychogene. That song didn't use any synthesizers whatsoever. It was just all sampling files. Yeah, continue a little bit. The harpsichord for each 8 bars or 4 bars here, the melody it's pretty repetitive, but I just gradually increase its intensity. I think I even transposed it up, I duplicated up an octave just to make it. Well, honestly, back then I would do that to make it more exposed, but that's only because I didn't understand how I could mix it to make it more exposed. I mean, in a way, it's not necessarily mixing, but you how do I put this? Well, whatever, I don't care to explain it. It's not that important. Anyway, I did make a lot of bad choices in this album in specific, just because sometimes if you don't know how to mix something, you're going to try and find other ways to expose things the way that you want to expose them. And in my case, I just went for a bunch of not so optimal strategies. I do think that this song is not crazy well mixed. The bass level in particular is pretty bad. The drums and stuff, like the orchestral drums, I feel like they don't have as much of a punch as I'd like them to have, like at the start. Oops. Yeah, it's like they're really weak. I think they're lacking a lot of maybe 200 hertz, just sub in general. I'm not hearing really any of that, especially in these headphones. It doesn't have very strong bass in particular, but I do like it for mixing. Yeah, this in particular, God, I had an inspiration for it. I don't remember what it was. If it was probably something that Loon created. You guys probably don't know who that is. I won't talk about that. Anyway, that's more or less what I wanted to comment on this song. There's not really too much to say other than it was composed to be the start of the album. That was my intention for it completely. Um, I ended up doing the same thing on Omaju, where I went for a harpsichord piece. This one was no a harpsichord and no, the harpsichord was the backing, and then the front was it was either a viola or a violin, I think, and then this kind of like pizzicato like thing. It's well, it sounded more plucky, I guess. I don't I don't know what instrument it was anymore. I can't remember the name. Okay. Anyway, on to Sunflower. The thing I really liked about this song is the sound choice. Again, not mixed very well. I'm going to be saying that about all the songs in this album, but the sounds that I'm using that are very nostalgic. They are coming from quite an old synthesizer created by the late H.G. Fortune. He, I consider him like a sound design genius. Just every single sound from his synthesizers that I heard was just fantastic. Excellent pads, excellent everything really. They just sound so cool. Like I don't know. This like screaming like voice is a sound that I am quite fond of. Some people hear it and they're like, "Oh, that's not a voice." And I'm like, whatever. It sounds like a voice to me, not a human voice. It sounds like a robot screaming or something. You know, it's a very sad, melancholic like sound. That's how I perceive it. And then this too. This is if I recall, this is a Bit Crushed choir that I used. It has quite a mysterious sound to it. The percussion in the song was inspired by Total Eclipse of the Sun, the -45 song, but I must say it doesn't really sound much like it. It's also not mixed particularly well. It's well, it's doing a lot of stuff. So much stuff that I don't really think I can't really perceive a rhythm from it. I've just got like a bunch of shit spamming in the background. Maybe if you slowed it down, you'd be able to hear what it's doing. I don't remember what it's doing. I don't even think I cared at the time. There were some points where I was still kind of lazy about various elements in my music. Sometimes I just felt like, well, this feels empty. I can't find a rhythm or a polyrhythm or whatever that I'm pleased with here. I'm just going to make it more noisy. So that's how my brain worked at the time. It wasn't very great. Now I try to make the best use of pretty much everything I shove into my music. Which you guys will see my new album release pretty soon. March 20th is when I decided I would go ahead and release that. So look forward to that. Maybe if you like my music. If you don't, then whatever. Don't look forward to it. It doesn't matter. This song. So I'm not really pleased with the composition in general anymore. I do like the sound design a lot. I think it's really cool. Um, not sound. I didn't do the sound design for the most part. I mean, I did a bunch of processing over the sounds, but a lot of the sounds thanks to H.G. Fortune, his synthesizers. Again, awesome dude. It's a shame that he passed as quickly as he did. I think his sound design is just utterly fantastic. Like so amazing. I don't know how to imagine, or not imagine. I don't know how to explain the overall aesthetic. This is like how my brain perceives this aesthetic. Music to me has started sounding. I feel like I'm in a 3D space now when I'm listening to it, especially with the headphones that I'm using now, the AKG K702s, which was recommended to me by a friend of mine. It really does feel like the music is everywhere. Like I've had open back headphones before. Like I have the 990s, the DT 990s in my closet, but man, I swear going from those to these, it's like it even makes those feel like they're mono, and they are an open back pair of headphones. The bass is a lot stronger than these. The highs are not as pronounced as these. I like the stronger highs on these because it prevents me from mixing my highs too loud. Um, like if they sound slightly too high on these, then I know that they probably sound perfectly fine on every other pair of headphones. Regardless, I try to make them not sound as high. Anyway, no matter what, even if like someone was wearing these headphones and they're listening, they're probably not going to be bothered by it, just because they're not thinking like they're mixing music. The way I like listen to music has drastically changed since I started mixing. It's it's quite a considerable difference. I don't know. I notice more sounds. I'm bothered a lot easier. Like a lot of the songs that I used to like a lot, which I mean, I still like their compositions a lot. I don't like their mix as much. There's a lot of songs like that. My brain is just like, oh, dude, why did you do that? You know, I'd never do that in the past before. It's like my brain was like, either this song is shit or it's not. There was never like a, oh, fuck, he could have done this better type thing. Now I just like listen to any song. I listen to commercial songs or, you know, any, even like professional mixes. Like sometimes I'll hear something and I'm like, dude, why did he do that? But yeah, that's it for Sunflower, I guess. I'm already at like 16 minutes and I've only passed the fucking second song. That's fine. I think we'll speed up because I'm already covering a lot of random stuff. If it gets too long, then maybe I'd just make this a two-part video. Because I don't know, I like talking about this stuff. I don't have too many people to talk about music with. And I do have a lot of special feelings towards my tracks in particular. Just, you know, how I was feeling around the times that I was making them and stuff like that. So it's something I want to do. Even I don't want to just like speed it up just because hey, I don't want to fucking spend this much time doing it. But yeah. All right, on to Anvilia. So this track, really bizarre. It's even now I still consider it to be one of my most gothic tracks, just because of the overall strange, the strange way it was mixed. For one thing, I mean, a lot of the mixing in this song in particular is just thanks to me being a shitty artist at the time. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just like I felt like I was throwing a bunch of sounds onto it, and like I just kept adding sounds and like doing like whatever dumb thing I could. Like how can I make this sound edgier? And then I'd try a bunch of random plugins, and you know I'd pull out like a bit crusher, which this is like one of the first times I bit crushed a choir, I think, and I was like, dude, that sounds fucking crazy, man. And now I bit crush choirs occasionally because I just like how it sounds, which you'll hear the moment I start the track. And yeah, I'll go ahead and start it now. I'll talk about more as I go. And there we go. I absolutely love that choice of the metal-ish sound in the background where you just hear it being hit, because one with just the choir only being present at the time, it kind of there's still a lot of room in the headphones, and the moment you start hearing that sound where it's just being hit, you know, that metal hit, it really does feel like, you know, you're in this like isolated space, and you know all of a sudden you start hearing someone like hammering something, or like I don't know, it feels like you are alone in a place, and all of a sudden you realize that there was someone else there, and you know they're doing something that might sound a little scary to you. I think about this kind of stuff a lot when I'm making music, just because for me atmosphere is really important. I like the way I, you know, perceive my atmosphere and my music. um, for me, again, like as I mentioned, music's like a 3D space to me now. It feels like I'm using this 3D space to like paint a story. You know, no one would ever listen and hear that same story, but you know, it really is only something a composer can appreciate about their own songs, which is honestly one reason why I just would love more people to start composing, especially my friends. It's like I don't know, there's so many feelings that you feel in particular when writing music, and you know, building atmospheres in your own songs and stuff like that. Like it really is like an irreplaceable experience to me. Like I like listening to other people's songs, and you know I build like ways of perception when listening to them. You know, like not everyone enjoys a song the same way. Um, you know, maybe you heard it when you were, you know, walking to some really badass place, and you know, now every time you hear this song, you're like, oh, I remember the awesome scenery I saw then and stuff like that. You know, you can enjoy music like that, but I do think when you're writing music and you're, you know, imagining more bizarre scenarios, at least like I do, um, it's a completely different experience to me, especially like because I don't know, I feel like there's a bunch of random like sci-fi concepts going on in my brain, and and my brain's doing a lot of filling in like blanks as well. Uh, like it just by filling in blanks, I mean like it comes up with some kind of impossible concept or idea, but it feels like it's real. Um, Maybe I'm schizophrenic or something. No, I doubt it. But oh, blurry for a second. Anyway, let's continue. The percussion in the background is actually just being randomized. It's a loop that I'm using, but I was using like a loop from some sampling CD. I don't know what loop it was. I didn't like how the loop sounded at first, so I just used this plugin called, I think it's called D-Blue Glitch. I think, yeah, that's the one. Anyway, it makes the sound really glitchy. It just, I had the randomizer setting on, so I think it's still following like a consistent pattern, but the pattern's only consistent for about 8 bars, I think. Maybe it was 4. I'm not 100% sure anymore. Yeah, regardless, it has a pretty pleasing sound. I think it fit the atmosphere of this song a lot, and also just this song in general, or just gothic music in general. I feel like it's really rooted on unpredictability. Not completely, but it helps a lot. Uh, you don't want it to be so unpredictable that it sounds bad, but you want it to be unpredictable enough to where it's mysterious. If that makes sense. That's like an aim that I have for a lot of music when I'm writing. Anyway, let's continue. I was really happy with this section, like the way it drops into this. The sound is so strange. It's really strange. I don't even know how to describe what I did to make this sound that way. I'm not going to. That's another fun thing about music in general is, you find a sound, or maybe you just screw around in a synthesizer and make something, and then you just process it in some strange way, whether you throw a distortion on it, or you throw it into an equalizer and just fuck around with it. That's not going to change the sound too much, but I mean it can, but not really that often. Kind of depends, like, just how much something is muted, how much something isn't being exposed, I guess. Or anyway, there's so many effects you can use. You can use flange, chorus, you can phase something, reverb, all that good stuff. I'm only throwing what's off the top of my head. There's other random stuff I use, but yeah, whatever. The point is, you can do a lot of strange stuff to a sound and make it sound really interesting and really unique. And I don't know. This sound in particular is something I'm just very pleased with. It sounds so cool. Dude, listen to that. Isn't that awesome? And the snare I'm using in the background is just an old snare from really old sampling CD. I really like old sampling CDs. They just have this really nice, like, authentic feel to them. I like clean music too, but I don't know. I must say, something about old snares is just really pleasing to my ears. I think I was bit crushing this piano too. It's not to say that my music choice in the background is random. I wrote chords, and what I did in this song in particular, this is something I used to do a lot in my old music, is after I'd write the chords, I would basically delete them. Well, I'd use them as reference. I would just spam notes pretty much all over the chords, like all the notes that I used within the chords, and just not deviate from them. It would make it really harmonic, but it was also fairly boring to some extent, just because I wouldn't let it progress the way that it felt natural. I'd just do it. I'd stay limited to my chords. Nowadays, I like to write my melodies before I even consider putting any kind of chord or string in the background over them, just because I feel like, when you write a melody, there's an implied chord progression. But when you write a chord progression, you have to make a melody that fits that chord progression. You don't have to use. Oh, well, whatever. I'm not here to explain music theory. I don't even know music theory that well. It's just my own perceptions and whatnot. I'm still just rambling. I feel like I'm saying some things, and I move into something else, and I forget what I was even talking about earlier. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Yeah, this sound again. This time I was bit crushing it. I can hear it. It sounds crushed. Same sound I used in Sunflower. Same I used in Darkness Parade, the Osu World Cup song that I was commissioned to make. It's a really nice sound. I want to use it more. I haven't used it in quite a bit. I didn't use it at all on my new album, which I will be releasing soon, as I mentioned. Please look forward to it. I promise you, you're gonna love it. Or no, maybe you'll hate it. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Okay. Anyway, the rest of Anvilia is it's pretty much the same style. You know, I'm overall this composition is kind of random. But you know, it's still, despite most of it being random, it was I still tweak it, right? Like I kind of start off with something random and then I try and shape it into something that makes sense. Uh, that's pretty much the epitome of this song, in my opinion. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say for Anvilia. On to Parasite Circus, which was used in uses one of my BMS of Fighters entries for Twinkle Dream Traveler. Pretty silly name. They've always got interesting ones. You know, like the evolution of war. Okay, on to Parasite Circus. I honestly don't remember if I'm bit crushing that or not, and I can't tell if it's just poor quality or if it's bit crushed. No idea. The sound in the background is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not an instrument, it's an electronic sound. It's not the choir. It's like this constant melody I'm playing in the background. It's nothing but 1/16 spam. If you focus, you'll probably hear it. I don't know, either way, I wanted to say that the sound is really cool. I really, really like that sound. Okay, so this choir sound, I believe it was a pitch shifted choir sample that I was using from some random sampling CD, and then throwing reverb on it and using, I just put the Fruity Panoramic plugin. It just slowly shifts it back and forth between your headphones. Well, you can change the pattern and how quickly it does it and whatnot. But actually, no, I don't think you can change the pattern in Fruity Panorama, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. I think it's just adjust the speed and depth of how it moves from left to right within the stereo field. Anyway, I was using that, and the sound is quite mysterious. I'd say it's very spooky. It was probably being bit crushed too. For all I know, I was always trying to do weird shit in this album in particular. Very compressed, must say. It's a very compressed song. Yeah, this organ, this was basically just spam. I mean, I pretty much just spammed the organ up until I like my process when writing music here was like, okay, so I will use rhythm choice that I'm aware of from mapping in Osu, and then I'll just spam anything up until I reach a notable pitch, whether it be like, you know, the dominant or tonic, and I just, you know, let it just play that for a bit, and then start spamming more 16th again. I don't know. I wasn't thinking too hard when writing some of that. I do think it sounds kind of cool. A lot of times you still do it by ear. Like when I'm writing stuff, it's I don't like, if it sounds bad, right, I'm gonna delete it. It is random to some extent. Like I'm not playing on a MIDI keyboard as I'm doing this with this album in specific, and it's just I don't know. It really does just feel like I'm randomly placing, but I will say that as I've practiced that type of thing a lot more, I do feel like my brain has this like process now where it's quite good at, for one thing, knowing which pitch I'm hearing, what that I want to hear next. I don't know, like if I hear a melody in my head, for example, it's a lot easier for me to transcribe it than it would have been in the past, because I wasn't familiar with intervals and stuff like that before. Or rather, I had no relationship with them. Like, you really do start to just feel something towards each interval in specific. the more and more you compose. I guess that's just, relative pitch, but um, I don't have perfect pitch. I've never tried training such a thing, and I've heard that it's not even possible to train beyond a certain age. No idea if I believe that, to be honest. I feel like there's probably some way you can, but whatever. That's just a shower thought. I don't know if you actually can or not. I was really happy with this like cymbal pattern. It just sounds cool. It's very crushed, very compressed too. But I must say, I think what makes those cymbals actually sound so pleasing to me is the compression. And one reason I'm saying that anyway is because I tried to remaster this song for my new album just to make it sound good. I was gonna stay completely true to the original, but a lot of these songs start losing the charm that I felt that they had, despite the compression, when they had no compression. And it's just because stuff, when mixed, when compressed, ends up being a completely different result than if it was mixed and it did not sound compressed. It's just because, I don't know, when you mix around a compressed sound, the stuff you've mixed into it now relies on that sound being compressed. And yeah, that's unfortunately the case for a lot of my old music. Like I just couldn't remaster some of it. I've tried remastering so many of my old songs just for fun for the most part. I wasn't even always going to include it. Even like I did remaster Psychogene. I didn't formally release it. I did upload it to Osu. I didn't put it on my YouTube or anything like that. It sounds much better, but that took me a while, and I couldn't even keep some of the rhythms that I had prior, just because I don't know, it didn't sound as good when it wasn't compressed. There's something different going there, and of course I could just compress some of those sounds in specific, but I couldn't figure out what it felt like it was relying on. Like, but I don't know how to describe that. There was it's just a combination of things that enabled something to work, and I didn't know what that combination was, so I could not like recreate it as true to the original as I wanted to. Uh, Maybe that makes sense to you. Maybe it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about it kind of hard. I couldn't manage to do it as well as I wanted to. Anyway, that's pretty much all I want to say for Parasite Circus. Still love this choir sound I've got here. This one, where was that from? It doesn't sound like one of the sound font choirs I used to use. It was probably like, I don't know, maybe some Roland synthesizer that I was using the choir from. Couldn't say for sure. Anyway, on to Butterfly Killer. We're now at 32 minutes. I'm on the 5th song. I really hope I'm going to speed up. If I don't, then I might just skip over to some of the other songs. Like I honestly don't really want to talk about the song Twilight Ceremony School. I'll start skipping over some stuff because yeah, whatever. I don't feel that close to every song in here. I feel close to a lot of them, but not all. Butterfly Killer is one of the ones I feel rather close to because I think this was my first 4-minute song, and it did a lot of interesting and different things. Not mixed well at all. Absolutely horrible. It's pretty bad. Like even from the beginning, like I just don't like how this sounds. There's too much reverb. Something that I do want to comment on though is like, despite a lot of these being really poorly mixed, I still just feel like they do have some kind of charm to them. And maybe, I mean, it's my music. I'm probably going to feel that regardless. The charm that I feel like comes from them, though, is just that these old sounds honestly just sound like they belong in a poor quality song, as stupid as that might sound. Like, I don't know. There's some sounds that, I don't know, no matter what, they're pretty hard to actually make work with a really high quality piece of music. I mean, you can process a sound in many ways to actually make it sound good, but at some point it starts losing that, like, old fidelity that it had to it. Fidelity might not be the right word for that. It just doesn't sound like it's got that authentic oldness to it anymore, if that makes sense. And I guess that's just because when a song sounds that good, it's usually just modern. Right? Not necessarily, but I still like how some strangely mixed songs sound. I consider this strangely mixed, but only because it's a poor mix, and that it being a poor mix just makes it different. So yeah. Anyway. Dun, 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 dun. This was really one of the first songs I can recall doing this kind of spammy stuff in the background. I love this voice sample in the back. And then this choice to abruptly cut it off. I recall exactly why I did that, and it's because of Minus 45's Rei Shiki song. Some people might know it as Zero Shiki. But there was this like vocal in the background that just like, I have it here somewhere. Shiki by Minus 45, right here. This like creepy ass voice, but it cuts off so abruptly, like that. It sounds, it's a really nice deliberate choice. I think I don't know. This is what I meant earlier when I was talking about like the nature of gothic music being kind of unpredictable. That was unpredictable. You wouldn't have thought that the moment that the next, section of a song started that it would just disappear, just like hard cut. It's really cool. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, dude, why did it just disappear like that? That's so cool. Like, I don't know. I love choices like that. It's really cool. So that's why I did that in Butterfly Killer. I don't think mine sounded as good as his did, but it still felt similar. Rolling through space. And then it just cuts. Why not? This is a very classic sound. Sounds just like Synth 1. It is Synth 1. Speaking of Synth 1, got my Synth 1 t-shirt on. I'm really addicted to music, guys. Please save me. In general, I liked a lot of the melodies I used in this. I do think now they could be better, but whatever. I'm always going to feel that way. Again, the song's really compressed. I feel it all the way through. Oh, I was really happy with this like harpsichord like solo. And then this part, just play whatever pitch, why not? Let's go. That eventually became something I started doing a lot in my music. It's definitely present in a couple songs in my new album, Midnight Sacrifice, but I feel like I've done it. I executed it a lot better than I did in this album. This sounds like a classic Sound Font 2 choir. Probably was. Really good melody. And then the ending, the mix, I just feel like the poor mix quality really stands out on these sections especially. It sounds pretty bad to me all the way through as far as mixing goes, but whatever. As a composer, like, it kind of baffles me when some people just don't notice that kind of stuff. Like, I never noticed it before in music. I listen to a bunch of songs now that I used to like a lot. I'm like, oh man, this sounds horrible. Why did they mix it like this? I was never bothered by this before. And now it's like really hard for me to see it the other way around, where like, someone hears my song and they love it and they're like, dude, this is so cool, I love this. And I'm like, my brain is like, dude, why do you like that? I'm so sorry, man. Like, what have I done? But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I guess I just have to get used to. My poorer quality songs here are going to be out there forever. Maybe eventually I'll even feel that way about my newer stuff, which I must say, I think the audio quality in my newer stuff is pretty comparable to most of the stuff around it. Like if I'm just scrolling through the OC menu and I hit my song and then I click another one, it doesn't sound out of place. The mixing doesn't sound broken or anything like that. These I would say compared to like professional mixes, just good mixes in general, nah, they sound pretty bad in my opinion. Um, yeah, that's all I really want to say for Butterfly Killer. I don't want to talk about the song. Um, some annoying things happened in my life around the time that I composed this. Don't have any great memories about it. Yeah, whatever. On to Twilight Ceremony. This was. I won't forget what my friend said to me the first time I sent this to him. And he was like, "Dude, this is cool, but why does it sound like it's coming out of a Nintendo DS?" And I was like, "Yeah, it does actually. You're right about that." It's mostly just bit crushed. Pretty much every sound in this song is bit crushed. Sounds like this. Also a very gothic song, but it has a little bit of a happier tone to it. That kind of thing. I don't really like happy sounding music. I wouldn't say this song sounds happy per se, but it doesn't quite sound as sad as, or at least as mellow or whatever as my other compositions. It just sounds in the middle. Although it does have this gothic touch to it though, of course, so it's going to sound a little bit evil in a way. There's like a hidden darkness behind it. This part pretty much just sounds happy to me, to be honest. Maybe I'm just fucking insane though. I think maybe some people hear this, dude, this doesn't sound happy. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? This was just like complete inspiration from -45's Yomotsu Hirasaka. The song. I loved this section. Same like chord pattern in the background. I'm kind of spamming my instrument right after. Can't move my tongue that fast. But anyway, yeah, it's the same thing basically. Just a much different emotion. It was yeah, I don't know. I took inspiration from that. I can't lie about that. This was very different emotion. The sound in the background I've got going here is pretty cool. This sounds just like it'd be in like, I don't know how to describe this. I feel like I could hear this in like Sonic Adventure DX. Not the song, the sound in the background. Like this, like it's like constantly muting itself and re-triggering itself. Like it's like a voice almost, like a broken, like sampling voice sound from like a sampling CD from the '80s or fucking whatever. It sounds something like that to me. Cool scream sound. Don't remember where I got that. Bit crushed piano. So I was trying to replicate a certain piano that I heard from sets in a song. This was another guy who did collab albums with -45, Loon. Anyway, he also wrote a lot of gothic music. And there's one section I heard in one of his songs where it's like, he bit crushed this piano. I don't know, it sounded almost tactile, almost. Like, it sounded like a mechanical keyboard with blue switches to me, but a piano. I don't have that on Foobar, so I'm not going to play it. Maybe I'll link it in the description if someone asks for it or something. Regardless, anyway, I was inspired by a Setsuna song for that part in particular. This was just like lazy. I think it sounds cool though. Alright. That's that for Twilight Ceremony. On to 2007 Clock Tower. So this was one of the earlier compositions in this album. Very early. It was composed mostly of stuff from sampling CDs. Very inspired by just BMS stuff in particular. I wanted that like same, authentic craziness that they had in a lot of the older compositions on their specific, like maybe 15 years ago and whatnot. So. A nice choir in the background just constantly going. I was pretty happy with that choice. This melody that sounds, I don't know how to put it. Oh, this sound in the background is the this came from Synth One, some random preset I had found. If I'm, I don't know why it sticks with me, but I think that preset was called Beef Heart Feedback. If anyone has any like Synth One, like not sampling, presets. If they downloaded like a preset pack, just search Beef Heart Feedback. Maybe you'll find it. I think that's what it was called. But yeah, almost reminded me of something that Susumu Hirasawa used in one of his songs too. At the very start of it. Don't know if it was what he used. I remember hearing rumors that. Well, rumors. I'm not a teenager anymore, but that he used Synth One. He probably did. It was a very popular synthesizer, especially in Japan. I believe it was made by a Japanese guy. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway. Dude, my use of these like sirens was like, I was on like this siren thing, man. Like, I'd put sirens in like every song I could at some point. It's also, I've got sirens in Striker Plus. I always did that because of Onoken's K107. Like this song sticks with me. Just it has stuck with me forever. Where are the sirens? I can't remember. Oh, they're just at the start, aren't they? Like, dude, how cool is this? These like industrial ass like snares and percussion. It's like metal hitting thing he's got going on. It's like weird grinding sound that's playing the bass. Processor. Like, dude, it's so cool. This is like one of the coolest songs ever to me. It's we're gonna move to Striker Plus pretty soon, but I must say this song was my complete inspiration for Striker Plus. Well, that and another song of his called ESC Plus, which I will play when we get closer. But these two songs in particular these are why Striker Plus exists. Because I was so inspired by these. I was listening to these all the time. And one of my, especially when I first started making music, like this is just going back a tiny bit, but the first time I started picking up music, what I was doing is I was looking at BMS files and I was like, okay, I want to try reverse engineering these songs. I feel like I can get some kind of understanding from how they're mixed and whatnot by looking at how they were built in FL Studio. I was aware that a lot of the sounds were probably being rendered through synthesizers. That's probably not the case for K107 though. I think that song was almost exclusively sampling, except for like the acid sound he was using and the piano. Even like I think he's only playing like one pitch with it the whole time, so it could just be a sampled sound that he threw delay over. Piano at the end sounds really fucking cool too on that song. Has a really sick delay over it. I actually just want to play it just because it sounds so good. Where's it? Yeah, look, dude. Dude, that's so cool. How cool is that? That's so sick. Fuck, I still want a delay like that. I don't know what delay he was using for that. I honestly, I mostly just use like the fruity delays. I've never downloaded like another delay plugin. I've always just used those. I have like a ton of different plugins for like reverb and flanging and chorus and stuff. But yeah, I've never downloaded another delay plugin. It just kind of happened to be that way. So I've been talking a lot. Where's my water, man? Nice Japanese water. It's better than American water. I'm kidding. It's probably the same. Okay. Anyway, back to this 2007 Clock Tower. This was just mostly samples, yeah, especially near the end. Except for this acid. This acid thing was also just like a K107 inspired thing. The acid section of the song. His is just spamming the same. Well, mine is spamming the same pitch, and then it's almost acting like a bass. I don't even think did I have bass playing this. I don't even have bass. It's just like a bunch of other elements filling in to make it feel a little heavier. I don't think I'm playing bass in this. I don't have like a kick bass relationship going on in this song. It's mostly just craziness. That's really all I have to say about this song, really. It's just crazy. I don't really like it. Some people like this. It's been mapped a lot in Osu for some fucking reason. None of them are ranked, but like I think there's like 6 or 7 random people who have just mapped this in like Taiko and Standard and whatnot. Like, I'm grateful. Like, thank you for listening. I'm very happy that you enjoy this. But I don't know. It's crazy to me. I don't even like listening to the song. I just think it sounds stupid. I think I felt like it was stupid when I first made it too. 2008 Darkwind. This one was composed before 2007 Clock Tower. I really like that element of surprise. You'd never expect that, would you? It wasn't made in 2008. It was made in 2023. All these were 2023. Yeah, 2023. And 2007 Clock Tower, 2023. But Darkwind came first. This uses a similar idea with the acid in particular. The lead was a little different. It's still a bell, honestly. I like the melody more in here. More melancholic, like, absolutely. But less people like this song, and I think it's because it's just less crazy. I like the acid sound more. This sounds really nostalgic. Like, and this sound, this scratching sound, I love it. This, I love spamming the 1/16th. All this other random shit going on in the background, and this like guy screaming every now and then. I had a lot of fun composing this. This was one of the first crazy songs that I think I made. By crazy, I don't mean good. I just mean it was doing crazy stuff. Like, it sounds ridiculous to listen to. It really does just sound like old BMS stuff. I'm not happy with the mix, but I'm happy with the song, especially when I made it. It's nostalgic for me to listen to. Sometimes I do still just listen to this because it's cool to me. You know, I don't think other people will appreciate it as much as I do. But, you know, why not? Okay. Oh, I guess we're speeding up now. A little bit, you know, compared to the timer. We're now at 52 fucking minutes. This is going to be a big-ass file, probably. I don't think I've ever recorded something this long. I guess we'll see what happens. My vocal cords are going to be feeling this tomorrow, I'm sure. Okay, on to Anti-Light System. This song was renamed numerous times. I couldn't find a name I liked for it. It does too many things. This was a highly experimental song for me. Like, I did a lot of random things in this. The sound is very thanks to a lot of sampling CDs and also Synth 1. But let's just get into it because there's a lot to break down in this song. The first section is just that gothic choir going on with some spam in the background. I used it to create more of an atmosphere. I just have a rhythm to it, but you know, it feels more like a sound that's meant to build an atmosphere than it is to do anything else, I guess. It sounds like it's in mono. It's like, it's not a piano. I don't know what it is. It is in mono, but I flicker it between left and right and then I start playing this like telephone-like sound. It's like completely out of place. But then I change to this. It's like now it's just a telephone song. You know, the telephone operators are speaking. You got the beeping. It's like you are in a telephone right now. And then the song changes again. I think I wasn't even playing chords here. I was just playing random. No, not random. I mean, it's kind of harmonic, not crazy harmonic, but playing some random note every bar, and then got some melody over it. Typical music stuff. Lots of spamming here again. Message on my phone. Nothing special. Kind of a relaxing part of the song. I think it has a good atmosphere. I'm not pleased with the composition here that much, but anyway. Oh, so this is where I feel like the song gets cool, because this song, I will say, this was the first really crazy, wild song that I made with a bunch of wacky ass sounds that definitely led to the creation of Striker Plus. It was, this was the song I made right before Striker Plus. It was a heavy experiment for me, and this section, there's a lot of crazy stuff. I think I'll play the whole section. So yeah. Lots of sampling sounds. I loved this sound. Dude, it sounds so cool. It's like it feels like a musical whip, man. This is complete K8-107 inspiration. This sound. It was meant to sound a little bit like that bass sound that, had going at the start. I was flickering it between years, like he was flickering it in that song. Anyway. I play like a melody and then change to like, some other focus, like, it wasn't even a melody, right? I think I'm just spamming a pitch there, and then all of a sudden I play my percussion, and then I move back into it. And here's another sound that I introduced. Like it sounds so 80s, 90s, not 80s, late 90s, maybe mid 90s, really a punkish sound. I don't know how to describe it. It does sound like you'd hear it in some kind of like punk music maybe, but I don't know, it's very intense, very scratchy. And that concludes that section. This one wasn't crazy interesting, just gothic, just kind of floating around doing its thing. This part was just kind of funny. It's an ending, that's for sure. This part was also something that, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have created that buzzing-ish section in Striker Plus. I kept just silencing and unsilencing the volume at with a rhythm to it, basically, like this stuff. Yeah, that sound in the background just keeps muting and unmuting, basically. Yeah, that's all I really want to say for this song. Next up is Mr. Psychopath. Honestly, I put a lot of time into this composition. I'm still fairly pleased with it. I've never really received any comments on this composition, honestly. I didn't really receive any messages about it or anything. That's fine. I still, I compose for myself. But no one has really ever been intrigued by it, which just surprised me a little bit, because it was something I put a lot of time into and tried out, like a unique concept. The idea was more so that first it's like this song is being programmed by someone. So I started off in like this atmospheric space. It's meant to be kind of like a 3D space that you're in, and there's all these like machine-like sounds, and you hear keyboard presses almost as if it's like the song's being cooked up by this guy, and eventually he presses the boot button, which there's a button press that I've gotten there and it sounds like it, and then the song kicks in and starts, and as it's playing, it's just progressing the song, but there are moments where I start adding more clicks and the song starts getting crazier. It's almost as if he's like fighting the song, like it's not going correctly. It's not going according to the plan, and eventually it gets way out of control, and it just crashes. So that's where the section ends, and then it re-enters another section where the song is being programmed again. It's like he's trying to fix what he messed up, and he's continuing, and then he boots up the song again, and then it kicks into an even more intense version of what it was prior, because at that point when it booted up again, it was just completely out of control, and that was the concept for the song. Eventually it just ends on a very intense manner. So yeah, I'm not going to play the whole song. If you want to hear it, go ahead and listen to it on your own, but I will at least demonstrate some of the sections to you, so let's go. No, that's light system, I meant. Like all these wacky ass sounds. The song, kicks in. there's page flips, like he's doing research as he's, making the song. These like beeps. I think I took some of those beeps from P8 107, the other Ono Ken song. Like I don't know, I love that song. Very creative. So this isn't the section where it crashes. It's I forgot to mention that this is another section where this is where, how do I put it? It's like he was trying to move it into the more intense part of the composition, but this is where it starts going wrong. And I at this point I introduced a distortion kick. Sounds considerably different. There's like a screaming sound going on. It's not a scream, but at this point the song's now just out of control. And you'll notice that when the scream kicks in, I also start kicking in the key presses again, which is because he's trying to fix it. He's trying to fix the problem that's occurring, and then it stops. Like that. Continues again, key presses start up, and it repeats. And then this is where the song, crashes, and from my idea. And then it, starts up again, and he programs it. He, quote unquote programs. He's not programming, but it's, that's the idea. It's your brain is supposed to fill in the gaps when you're listening. You can perceive it your own way. Yeah, and then it kicks back into the song, which it just gets more intense at this point. And yeah, that's the end of that for the most part. If you're curious, go ahead and listen to the whole thing. I don't really feel the need to say too much more about that song, so yeah, if you want to check it out, go for it. So now we'll move on to Striker Plus. This song, I'm very close to this song. Yeah, I know it's just a song, but this was one of the first things that I made that I was like, dude, I can't believe I made this. Like I had made a bunch of stuff before that. It felt really within the realms of my own like creativity. I just felt like I was doing random stuff. But this song was different. It's very cohesive in my opinion. The sound choices and just the like absolute combination of stuff that I used works so strangely well together. I don't know. I was in just the right place when I made this. I must say I'm incredibly pleased with this in like every capacity. It's so quirky, so unusual, so different. The mix isn't even half bad for what it is. I think, it's not a perfect mix, but I think the way that it's mixed suits the song. And that's what I have to say about that. But let's go ahead and listen to some of the sections in this. I will say, this was heavily inspired by both K8 107 and ESC Plus by Ono Ken. His original ones, though. I think he remastered ESC Plus eventually, but I'm only talking about the original on his Ono Ken Best CD. So yeah, let's go and listen to some of this. It's not like, I don't know if I can call it a kick. It has a really nice like punch to it though. And I have this like really goofy melody going on with this like electronic sound. I really don't know how to describe it. The percussion in the background that you're hearing in this section, it is literal like button presses, like keyboard button presses, and I constructed like this like loop out of it pretty much. I don't know, it sounded very mechanical. Like this song is meant to sound kind of industrial. It's a very strange composition in general, but just pay attention and you'll notice that they sound like key presses. If you focus on it hard enough, you can probably tell they're key presses. It's probably easier for me since I've heard all the elements in isolation, but yeah, they are key presses. And this whole stopping and starting thing I did, where like it plays a really intense thing over like it's for like 2 bars, and then it stops, and then it continues again. Um, and I got that idea from ESC Plus, like that. It stops. It hits its metal. It's like pew. Yeah, this one too, where the whole song stops and it just plays this beep. And I liked that concept so much that when I made, my BMS of Fighters video for this, um, I also made that effect work with the video because I had this video playing, but then the moment that beat plays, I just made it go black. Like the screen just it goes black. I felt like it fit the song, so I was like, why not? It's kind of a cool idea. I thought it fit, and even now when I watch the video, I'm like, dude, that was such a good idea. It works so well. So yeah. Another thing to comment on. Do you know where that sound is from? If you do, we had a similar childhood probably, because that is a sample from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. And I will say this. It is a free to use sample. Anyone can use it. It came from a sampling CD. It's not that I took it from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I actually found the sampling CD that it was in. It was in a best service sampling CD from the 90s. So yeah, it's royalty free. Anyone can use it. I guess so long as they own the sampling CD. You know. So yeah. Yeah. All I say is it's the same sample that was used. I recognized it instantly. Like I was clicking around in the sampling CD, listening to the sounds, and I heard it. I was like, dude. My childhood in one .web file is right here. That's so crazy, and I just had to use it. Like while I was building this song, the first thing I did was I was just clicking in sampling CDs and throwing any random sound that sounded cool to me in my project, and I knew that I was going to try building a song completely with nothing but sampling files, which is what the song is. And yeah, once I had all my elements, I was just in this mode where I was like, okay, let's try to build a composition with these. And I started making rhythms with the random sounds that I had found, trying to make polyrhythms with them. And that's what some of the later sections were. Like this section too. It's numerous things going on that are playing different sounds, all really wacky electronic sounds. That's like cool feeling to them. And yeah, let's go play some ESC Plus. You heard here K-107. If you haven't heard the whole thing, go listen to it on your own. But ESC Plus, you'll hear that the same concepts that I took the ideas from. See, it goes silent there for a second, and then it kicks in again. And he's playing these like button-like sounds. I actually feel like I got the idea from that in particular. It did happen to be a little similar though. Like telephone sounds. The rest of the song's not really similar, but the percussion does have some cool stuff going on in the background though. Yeah, really cool, really creative song. Definitely something I was heavily inspired by. Okay, that's enough of Striker Plus, but yeah, that song, it really does mean a lot to me. It was, it's been a huge benchmark for me in general. Like after I made that, I felt like I kept getting better even faster. Like it really did feel like it made a change to me. And there's not many songs that have done that up until now. Like the most notable songs that I can remember, like the first song that I made that a lot of people actually liked, really kind of surprised me. It was Psychogene. Now when I look back on that composition, it's not that good, but it did have a decent aesthetic. The mix was not that great, but I think the way it was mixed was likely one of the reasons a lot of people actually did like it so much. It just has this really authentic, like old feel to it. It really does just sound like it might have just been made by just a guy, 30 years ago. Just a random dude. It was his hobby. It's one of those random songs and just hit it for no reason. It's not that great of a song. It does have an aesthetic to it, though. I'll give it that. But yeah, that was the first song that I made that felt like some kind of revelation to me. After that, I had like this overwhelming like hit of motivation. I was like, dude, I have to make more music. I have to make more music. So yeah, I did exactly that. That song was really motivating to me. The next one was Striker Plus, which came I think 6 months after Psychogene. Considerable amount of time. I've been spending a lot of time in FL Studio regardless, so like even though 6 months might not sound like a lot of time to you, maybe it does. Maybe some of you don't dedicate that much time to like random interests like this. Um, I know it's hard for some people to not like hobby swap all the time and stuff like that, which is fine. Everyone enjoys stuff in different ways. I'm personally not much of a hobby swapper. I like to just drill in one thing. Music is awesome to me. I just want to do it for as much time as I can. Anyway, yeah, the Striker Plus was the second revelation. The third one, which I don't know, maybe it's a surprising answer to some, which I don't know, is Silver Orbit though, which is in Omaju. This song was the first time that I switched to a different compressor, and man, it made everything so much better. It was crazy to me because I mean, I will say that when I composed it, I had a friend helping me out a little bit. I was watching him compose, and he was just teaching me some stuff, and it really helped me so much. Like I feel in debt to the guy because I really improved so much just from his advice. Um, but yeah, this composition, not so much the written music, but the way it was mixed was heavily thanks to him. And I must say that like it's just a huge revelation to me because after this, everything got easier, just so much easier. Like I don't know, again, like I want you guys to look forward to this album. If you've watched this video this far, maybe you'll be interested to check out my new album, which hell, maybe it will be released by the time you're watching this. Only about 15 more days until I release it, so I don't know. You'll see if you care. I'm quite pleased with how my mixing has become. I'd say I'm okay at it now. Not professional, but I I don't feel like the average listener would really be able to tell the difference between it and a professional mix. Um, that's not like an ego thing. It's just that it's mostly audio engineers that can start telling those differences, especially because like people listen to my songs and the Evolution of War and they think they're like really great, like really well mixed. I'm like, no, they aren't, dude. No, not even close. You don't understand, man. Ugh. I didn't expect this video to get this long. Maybe you guys will like this rambling. I might not even public this. I think it might just be private. Not private. Sorry, unlisted. I know I'll definitely probably post a link to my Twitter. Just say this video's here. I made it for myself, but if anyone wants to listen, then here you go. And I know I'm talking like I'm talking to people, but I still feel like I'm talking to myself. I'm gonna rewatch this video eventually in a couple of years, and I do also intend on making another similar video like this with my newer album. Don't think I'm gonna make it for Omaju or even Cry for the Infinity because a lot of time has passed. I mean, I could. I don't know. This was like the beginning of my musical journey. I did something that I don't like any of these. I really don't. Maybe sodium ethyl xanthate. I probably didn't say that right. Right. Honestly, the only reason I even gave it this name is because the abbreviation is sex. So I didn't take everything in this album all that seriously. I mean, I was very invested in music at the time, but some of it was still just like, yeah, whatever. I'll just name my song "Sex." Why fucking not, dude? I was also still using Japanese titles on even Omaju, but I'm gonna knock that off just because people can't search it. I mean, sure, fuck, I'm not fluent in Japanese. I know it. I passed like the N2 after like some time studying, but other people can't. They can't read this. They can't be like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and search Geshoku Buto because I can read that, or whatever, man. No one can search these. This is like the only song I'd want anyone to hear, anyway. Amongst the Japanese title ones, I don't think the rest are good. Oh, Geshoku Buto is okay. It's okay. Probably similar quality to Silver Orbit. Maybe a little more muffled though. Anyways, I rambled a bit there, but yeah, those were my 3 revelation songs: Psychogene, Striker Plus, Silver Orbit. They'll always be incredibly special to me. I wonder what the next one will be. Honestly, I feel like I can keep making good improvements. Honestly, if there was another one, it might have been this song that I called Burn Castle's Sanctuary, because this song was composed to be similar to something like Bloody Purity and Sanctity, like the Rab Pit song. I feel like it was my first success at that. It's not something I hadn't tried before, but my musical writing has gotten a lot better. I've studied a lot of like classical compositions and stuff like that. Um, a lot of it really is just pattern recognition. Like I haven't done any like formal music theory study or anything like that. I don't really think you need to. You can. You're not gonna get worse from it. It might help you, make connections faster. But you know, just writing music and studying other people's compositions, maybe even just trying to copy them a little bit just to understand it. It's it helps so much. Like I didn't have to study theory, and I don't feel like my musical writing is all that bad anymore. In fact, I like my musical writing a lot more than a lot of my like really favorite artists. And it's just because when you compose enough music, you develop this like bank of patterns in your brain almost, and so you remember what you like, and eventually your songs become composed of nothing but stuff that you like. So there's never gonna be like a section in your song and you're like, that the chorus is cool, but this part really blows, you know. Or maybe the vice versa. You like some other random section. Man, the chorus could be better. It's not like that in your own music. Unless you give up. By give up, I mean like settle. You write a chorus and you can't make it better. You're like, fuck, I really want to make this a better chorus, but I just can't do it. That type of thing. And in which case, nowadays I just wouldn't release a song like that. For my Midnight Sacrifice album here, I've composed about 30 songs for this, 35, somewhere around there. I'm only using 20 for now. I might bring this up to 25 if I get enough compositions. I have a friend who's also going to be having 3 songs on this album. The guy I was talking about who's helped me quite a lot. We're very into like the same genre and stuff like that. And his would fit just perfectly in my album because we just like the same stuff. Same style. Not completely the same style, but pretty close. So it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 25 songs. We'll see. Anyway, back to the Evolution of War. So, Luna 99998. This was... So technically it was Exile inspiration, but by that I just mean I wanted to make something really intense. Really fucking intense. Like, make something as intense as I could. And yes, this is definitely the most intense song in this album. By quite a lot. But I don't think it's very good. It's just intense. That's literally all it is. So yeah, it doesn't sound like Exile. It's just intense. I just wanted intensity. So that's what we got. We got intensity. And we'll go ahead and listen to some of it. A lot of it's pretty similar, except for one section that changes very drastically. But already very intense, very evil. The like vocal, like I don't even remember what it says. Like, you don't know what you did to him. Like, okay, dude, what did I do to him, man? I don't know. What did you do to him? This section is really cool. Just nothing but the like intense ass kick in the background and this like really intense melody. This is another one of those songs where like it's obviously mixed really poorly, but I feel like it complements it in a way. It's almost some of you guys. There's no way a lot of you would listen to Merzbow. Even I don't really like his music. If you can even call it music, but there was some stuff that just so bizarre and almost painful to listen to. Like that's the nature of Merzbow's style, but something about the fidelity of the audio was interesting. And that's what I still feel about a lot of these songs. Like I don't think they're professional mixes, no way. But can people enjoy listening to them? Yeah, they can. A song doesn't need to be professional for someone to actually enjoy listening to it. But there is a certain type of quality that are commercially asked for and commissioned and stuff like that. This kind of stuff, at least in this album, most of it would probably not make it to any kind of rhythm game or anything like that, because it's not professional. It's hobbyist stuff. Like I'm not a professional now, and I was not a professional then. I'd like to believe I could become one eventually, but who knows, you know? Um, Music is one of those things that's pretty hard to succeed at. I can, try as hard as I want, but it doesn't really guarantee anything. Above all, it's a passion thing, It's really fun. All right. I guess I can show up the other section of the song. This was had some pretty unusual sound choices. So the string's pretty pleasant. The piano melody in the background's really nice. This song really does heavily change. And then it just moves back into this really evil type thing. A lot of lightning in the background. This section of the song is a very evil build-up, I must say. I was pretty happy with it. This guy screaming, I think there was some hit in the background. Or the percussion starts sounding like it's in this really loud room, wide room. I'm really happy with this. I think this is cool. And then this tremolo sound that just goes absolutely crazy. It's covering all the bass, pretty much. None of this is, mixed very well, but... And I play this siren, the ultimate build-up. This sound is so cool. And this, sharp-ass sound. To be, scream and then back to this crazy shit. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Pretty wild song. Just meant to be very intense. I'd call it an experiment. Most of these songs are experiments, really. Okay, on to... I want to talk about Fatality Machine. I don't really care about this song. No, I don't care about this song. I don't like this. It was one of the earlier songs I made in 2023. It was either the first or second. It used to be called XX Killer, and I changed the name. At first I made that name just because it looked aesthetically cool. And then I thought more about it, and, it just the more I think about it, you might be able to imply something racist about it. You might be able to imply something else about it. I don't know. That was never the intention. It was just called XX Killer. I just thought it looked cool. But yeah, I decided to just change the name to Fatality Machine. Anyway, yeah, that's all I really want to say about that. Okay, on to Lavis Moon. This song was inspired by another Owner Again song. It was inspired by Quinine. It doesn't sound like it, though. But there are some sections that were heavily inspired from that song. And if you heard both of the songs, you would hear it. You would be like, yeah, okay. I understand that he was inspired by that. They're completely different songs. But the ideas are somewhat the same. So anyway. The start, for one thing. Let's start off with a pizzicato. I must say, I was really happy with my melodies in this. Really happy with them. Still am. Really proud of this. I really like the organ that I was doing here. None of its complicated patterns, but... And then it kicks into the melody like this. Really happy with this melody. The reason I kicked it in that way is just because Ono Ken did that in Quinine with his melody. He moves into a very similar melody, just in the same fashion. Do I even have that version? Yeah, let me go. No. Hold on, let me see if I can find this file. I probably have it. See more results. Do I have this? No, I don't have it. Oh, yeah, unlucky. Never mind. Don't worry about it. If you want to hear it, go listen to the version I mapped on Osu. I'm gonna play this whole section just because, so after that melody, it kicks into this. It eventually drops, but I will say this whole part before the drop is one of my favorite things that I have composed even till now. It's just very pleasing, very melodically pleasing. The sound choice is very good. I just think it was lucky. I don't think any of it's complicated. The chord progression is quite simple, but overall, I just think this whole part sounds really good. I believe this bell was from X-Band 2. Love this voice sound. It just sounds so nostalgic to me. Like, it just sounds like something you'd completely hear in, like, maybe like a really old visual novel that you were playing on your PSP or something. Something like Ever 17 comes to mind. I feel like it had sounds like that. I was inspired by some stuff from that soundtrack at some point. I wasn't like good enough to make anything like from stuff I was inspired by at that time, though. I couldn't really understand what was going on in a lot of music at that time. Anyway. I really like using an organ like this, man. The organ to me is like the most powerful instrument. It's my favorite instrument, but quite a lot, like quite a considerable amount. I don't use it in as much music as I'd like to, but it's only because I feel like I can't bring out as much power from it as I'd like to. Like it really is just so powerful. Like it just has this crazy sound to it because I guess in most contexts you hear it in like a really nice cathedral, and it's the sound overwhelms you from like every possible angle. You can't escape from it. It's a really beautiful instrument in my opinion. But yeah, I wasn't doing any crazy composition with the organ here, but I don't know the the overall way that I used it here feels very resolute, very positive, very like forward facing, I guess. I feel like there's still things that could be better about this song, of course. I feel like there's some elements that are missing in the chorus. The chorus, I feel like it could have ended up being better. But either way, pretty happy with it. It's still one of my earlier compositions. Like, I don't even think I was, a year into writing music when I made, like, most of these songs. I don't have too much more to cover about Lavis Moon, so I suppose we can go ahead and move on to Kanetsuho, which was, I think I called it Dancing Hitogata at some point. Was the name of an item from Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst, or episode 1 and 2, the GameCube version, which is a game I grew up playing with my brother. It's a really good game. I'm very, I don't know how to describe it, but when you play something as a kid, you have quite an imagination about a lot of things, and I've always had these like perceptions of like these items from this game. And I mean, at least in Midnight Sacrifice, I have two songs, Magic Rock Mula and Magic Stone Aristia, which were compositions. I mean, those are items from Phantasy Star Online. I feel like I tried composing my perception of those songs. Very, this stuff probably just sounds schizophrenic to, some of the people listening. Like, what the hell do you mean by that? I think it's something you'd understand if you wrote music, or if you're a creative person in general. If you do any kind of creative hobby, really to some deep extent, you start developing like a different relationship towards it than you'd ever expect. It's not like it feels paranormal, like it's not a good way to put it, but it feels like there's something more. I guess that just kind of happens when you build like a closer relationship with a concept like that. I don't know. It's something that I still feel like people should, do. Take it seriously. Try it. Make music. Like, I don't know. Even though I am making this video for myself, I do like it is in my mind that like I want someone out there to listen to this and like see my passion towards music, see how interested I am in it, see my thoughts towards my own songs, and just like how it makes me feel, and like just everything I feel towards my music. I'm kind of rambling here, but I want them to see that and be motivated themselves. because it really is like an irreplaceable feeling to me. I feel like you guys can feel this too. Anyone can feel it. It's just something that they have to get into. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that's hard to talk about with some people because they don't get it. I do have composer friends and they get it. Some of them anyway, because they're the same. They have the same kind of emotional response to their music. They felt interesting ways when composing some of them, and I don't know. I just like hearing some of my friends' songs when they give me more insight to their views of it and whatnot. Um, you know, uh, Someone might have been going through something in their life, and they wrote this song. Then they'll send it to me and be like, yeah, I mean, I made this song during this period of time, and they'll explain it. And, then you listen to it. You get the actual composer's view into the thing that they made. I don't know. I just think it's a really cool thing. Because then it becomes your association with the song too, and it feels like a very raw way to feel their emotion. It really makes you feel closer to someone else. I really do like creative people. You do hear this like cringe thing a lot where some people are like, I don't want to be friends with non-creatives, and that's really stupid. I have tons of friends who aren't creative, but I will say there is a certain thing that you can't share with some people that aren't creative, and that's just not something you're going to get until you experience it. I feel like it's kind of similar to love. I remember when I was a little younger, I was like, no, love isn't real. It's just a combination of a bunch of emotions. You know, uh, it's definitely more than that. I can't put it into words. The brain does weird shit. Um, you start feeling, I don't know, you feel something different, that's for sure. It's not something people can really put into words. It's very easy to talk to someone and know like that they've never felt it before, just because the moment they say something like, "Oh, love isn't real," or you're just being a romantic and all that nonsense. No, there's something more to it, but I think it probably makes sense in a way anyway. It's just deeply into like the humans like desire to reproduce or whatever. There's something there. I don't know what it is, but the point is, it's the same with music. The same kind of thing I feel towards this stuff. A lot of the things I'm probably saying just might sound like nonsense to some people. Whatever, that's fine. But some of you who do feel this and can relate to it, I'm sure you're very happy to hear it too. Um, I really do like being able to share that kind of thing with people. So I would recommend anyone to become creative. Yeah, let's go into the final 5 compositions here, which, yeah, I think I'm probably going to talk about all the remaining ones. Okay, Kanetsuho. This is an outlier amongst every composition I've made. At this current point in time, I have in my all folder, let's see. I've made 79 compositions. It's been about 2 years since I've started composing. I started on December 17th, 2021, but I didn't really actually take it very seriously up until around 6 months after that. And I especially did not take it actually seriously until 2023 when I started working on the Evolution of War. But it only got more serious even after that, like Midnight Sacrifice. I've composed all of these within the last 3 months, pretty much. I've been on this like insane like productivity grind because it's just so enjoyable to me. Like, I don't know, I go to school and I'm like, damn, I want to go home and make music, and then I have to go to my fucking part-time job after. And then when I'm there, I'm like, oh, I have to go home and make music. I want to go make music. And then I get home and I just do that. Occasionally I'll go out with friends and whatnot, but music is just always on my head. Like I just want to make music. That's it. And every time I'm even when I'm like waking up to go to school or work and stuff like that, the moment I get out of bed and I leave the house, I put my headphones in and I'm listening to something I made the night prior, maybe looking for like some kind of error in the mix, or just trying, just enjoying the composition I made, because a fresh composition that you've just made, you love listening to it. At least in my case, I do. I don't stop listening to my like compositions. I get really addicted to some of them. I do like them a lot. Eventually, I get sick of them. That's just a natural thing. Like you know, I might take a break from one for 6 months and then listen to it again and be like, dude, this actually kicks ass. I composed this. Holy shit. There definitely is something else to listening to your composition like a while after you've composed it. That's mostly just because, like, how to put it, you forget a lot of how the elements sound in isolation, for example. You just, the song becomes not necessarily random to you, but you can't predict it as well as you could before because it's not as in your memory as well, like what comes next. Like, you know what comes next, but it's still partially unexpected just because you're not used to hearing it anymore. That's why, you know, you can take breaks from songs and come back and listen, and, you know, it might sound as awesome to you as it did when you like heard it a long time ago and you're really hooked on it at some point. That happens to me occasionally. I do that with a couple of -45 songs still. Like Total Eclipse of the Sun. It's one of my favorite songs ever. I'd listen to it so much. Not lately, but I will again. I know I will. It always happens. Okay. On to Kane Tsuho. Did I? No, yeah, I hadn't started playing that. I've rambled a lot. I hope you like listening to me fucking talk about all this dog water. Let's go. I don't even think I mentioned the actual concept for this, though. I was trying to make something that sounded like it came out of like a Korean MMO. So I went very like oriental with this. I believe I was using the Japanese shamisen and the koto. And other than that, there was also a harp, I think. Very oriental song. Still happy with the percussion. I must say that this song sounds much less compressed than a lot of the songs in the album. I also think it's kind of compositionally far, like, ahead of the other stuff in the album. Which is just weird to me because this is not a genre that I ever thought I'd touch. I touched it because, I was just curious. I wanted to experiment a bit. I'm very happy I did, though. It definitely, like, progressed my ability as a composer. I feel like I proved to myself I can do this kind of stuff if I want to. I'll go ahead and skip ahead and... yeah, it kind of just goes back into the previous chorus, but a little more intense. Yeah, then it has just this, like, kind of exit sequence, I guess. You can pretty much tell the song is going to end soon. And then it does. Yeah, overall, pretty happy with that composition. Like, I don't think the mixing's too poor. It's not great. But compared to a lot of this stuff, it's one of the better songs in the Evolution of War. That's pretty much all I have to say about that song, because I must say, I was never crazy close to this song. It was something I kind of made in like a day, and I was like, well, okay, I just made this. It's not really what I normally make. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think I definitely listened to it for a few days after composing it, but after that, it was just kind of a spontaneous decision to even include this in the album, because I was like, well, it's still kind of out of place, but variety, right? Why not? Okay, on to Last Survivor. This was the first piano composition that I made. Wouldn't say it's crazy good. There's some sections I liked. It's very sad, very melancholic. I forgot there's a violin in the background too. We're gonna listen to the whole thing. I'll skip into this section. I like this transition a lot. Just how this like leads like up. Something about this melody is nostalgic. Like just this build up. I don't know. I like it a lot. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, then we have like a clear mood change once it kicks into this part. the mood changes. It starts feeling more positive, you know. Like it's like maybe you were going through something tough, right? And then that part is over, and now you're just mellowing it out, that kind of thing. Ends on a pretty tense note, though. Not resolved, but I would say concluded. I don't have anything crazy to say about this. And anyway, Last Survivor was another item named from Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst. It's pretty hard for me to not make references to that game. It was my absolute childhood. And there are still many items in that game that I've wanted to make songs for, but haven't been able to do it yet. Because I don't, like, at least for Magic Rock Mula and Magic Stone Aristia, I had this like idea, and you know, I managed to execute it properly, but there's just some that, like, I feel like when it's the time for me to give a song that name, I'll just know. I'll just be like, yep, this is the one for this title. There is one item that I don't really want to say for now. I'll let it surprise you that whenever I manage to make a song for it. But I've tried so hard. Like, I have this like view in my mind of how I want to like write it. I know what sounds I kind of want to use. I've been collecting something for it in specific. I have a bunch of like folders and stuff for sounds that I believe will work, and you know, the idea that I have for like a particular song. Going back to something I said probably like an hour ago at this point, but the music is in like a 3D space to me, and each sound I use is just like an element within that 3D space. And like with a lot of these elements and sounds that I like hear and listen to, I feel like I start like giving them identities in a way. You know, I've even like named them after people and stuff like that. And I feel like it just helps me progress stories in my music better. I don't know how to. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I feel like it's just another part of my creative process. I think some people might be able to relate to this. Maybe they do something slightly differently, but that's how it works for me. I don't want to tell you the names. Maybe one day I will create a video and like play some sounds. Be like, yeah, this is this character that you know, the really schizophrenic stuff. Not schizophrenic, but it's just another thing that you will get out of the mind of a randomly creative dude. I mean, it'll make me sound like I'm high or something, but yeah, why not? It's whatever. Okay, on to December 31st, 1999. Why did I name this song this? I named it this because after I composed it, very instantly, my brain was like, dude, this is what people felt the moment that the year was about to turn to 2000. I don't know why that thought hit me in the head, but the moment it did, I was like, okay, I'm going to name it December 31st, 1999. It was actually originally called like 11:59, 59 seconds p.m. December 31st, 1999. But then I thought the title was too long, so I just made it December 31st, 1999. And honestly, I'm still happy with the title. The song's kind of compressed. I do think it's still one of the better songs in the Evolution of War. Not one of them that many people know about. I haven't heard any message regarding this song. No one's really ever contacted me about it. I have received a lot of kind messages about various songs in this album, notably like the Evolution of War, Moonflower, Striker Plus especially. This song is done really well. I'm really surprised about it. And Ambilia as well. And Mortem Apotere. Still don't know if I'm saying that wrong. If anyone knows Latin in the chat, feel free to correct me, but you know, whatever. Parasite Circus got some. I think the mix is pretty fucking bad on this song. Like, honestly, one of the worst mixes in this whole album. But the composition is also one of the most interesting, I think. So, kind of balances it out. Anyway, on to December 31st, 1999. Like, dude, doesn't this just feel like it's about to become year 2000? Like, when hearing this section of the song, my brain is like, you know, there's all these new things in the world that are about to happen. Like 2000 is the year. You know, there's so many technological advancements coming. The whole world is changing. And, you know, of course, this is hindsight for me, but I do feel like, you know, the idea of entering the year 2000 was probably something very, very crazy, very special to a lot of people back then. I know some people thought the world was going to end, that kind of thing. But this song just feels like it captures that. I don't know why, but that's why I named it that. This is a marimba over this, I believe. I love this like string sound I'm using. It's a little bit detuned, I believe. Can't remember if I detuned it. It sounds detuned though. A lot of these like chimey sounds going on. I think those were from sampling CDs, just like pitch shifted. Skipping a little bit. I love this sound. This like, it just sounds like a voice saying "cry" almost. It has a very weird quality to it. And then it kicks back into, you know, the prior chorus I had, but it's like slightly more intense, and that's about it. Yeah, that's all I really want to say about this song. If anyone's made it this far, and they're still like listening to this, which would blow my mind, let me know what you think. Go listen to that song and comment here and tell me, yeah, that does sound exactly like how you described. Or maybe you have your own perception of it and you can tell me how you perceived it. That's fine too. Or maybe you can just call me crazy. Like, Cygnus, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Are you insane? That's fine too. Go ahead and say whatever you want. Okay, on to the last two songs, Moonflower and The Evolution of War. So Moonflower. Wow, this song, there's a certain like emotion that this gives me that's really hard for me to describe. This is like one of the first songs I made that not only just felt like BMS to me, but I was just like, there's like a really special emotion in this, and I don't know how to put it into words. It's something that's just hits me really well. From the moment I made this, I was like, man, this is so cool. It just sounds like, you know, the epitome of BMS, but it also just carries so much more. I don't know how to like really put much of it into words. It's just, that's how I feel about it. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to that. Well, let's listen to the whole thing. It's 1 minute and 30, so whatever. I started out with this like, you know, sharp sound. This was actually used in December 31st, 1999. We've got these drums that are kind of like, you know, letting you know something's coming. And this piano that's like, it has lots of reverb over it. It's fading in. And the first thing you hear from it is those two prominent notes. Those two. I still get like goosebumps on my body when I hear that. Just because I don't know, it is Moonflower to me. Like, that's what this is. And then, you know, the bass and kick starts, and we've got this, this is a harp, for sure. And the claps start. And this kicks in. This is my favorite. I love this sound. I really can't put into words what this feels like to me. It feels like such a special song. Like something amazing just happened. It's like, I feel like this is, what this song feels like is you just received news that changes your life, like, for something, it makes the most positive change ever to your life. Like, you just found out, like, you just made $1 billion, you know, you just hit the lottery. You're never gonna have to work in your life again, your whole family's never gonna have to work. That's what this sound feels like to me when this kicks in. Right here. No, where's it? Yeah, this. I don't know. That's what that synth feels like to me. It's a very nostalgic sound. And then after that, we changed the harp melody, and it just feels like it adds even more to it. Like it just keeps building this emotion. Like it just feels like it keeps getting better and better. And then we kick into another part which does the same thing but more intensely, and I'm spamming pizzicato in the background. And all these melodies they're really supporting each other in different ways, but there is a lot going on at once. And then it just ends, and it's, you know, this kind of tame ending that just kind of fades out. It's a very short song, a very simple one. Simple, I don't know if you call it simple. Simple in idea, at least. The way it progresses is a fairly straightforward progression. It just, you know, keeps getting more intense until it hits the chorus, and then it ends and has this, you know, transition out with the melody it started with. It's fairly common structure, I guess. It's not crazy, but I don't know. There's a lot to this song to me. I love listening to it even now. I think the mix isn't good. I think the highs are a little bit too high. The bass and kick could be more prominent, but I must say the bass I used is really hard to make it stand out. Like the sound, I don't know. It's like the stereo width of it is really strange, and the more I like tried to raise the bass, it started sounding bad. And it's like I didn't want to put it in mono, and there was no like balance that I could really do to make it actually sound good. I don't know. It's just I guess at fault of, you know, my mixing ability. I can still get better and find a way to improve it probably, but right now I'm not good enough to make this song with a really good powerful mix, but I will eventually. Like I feel very very passionate about this song. Maybe it's the song I feel the most passionate, or at least an equivalent amount to Striker Plus in this album, for a different reason. Um, it is a very emotionally powerful song, I think. Okay, on to the Evolution of War, the final song. I I have mixed emotions about the song because I don't really like the composition that much anymore. I do think it just ends too quickly. I think that there's a lot more to be had. And as some of you guys may know, I made this because I was completely inspired by The Lost Dedicated, which goes back to what I said at the start of this video. The Lost Dedicated has shaped how I make music. Like I don't know how to describe that. Even nowadays, like I listen to that song, and honestly, the mix is not that good. Like the song, the composition is fantastic, and you know, it probably sounds weird for me to critique the mix of that song, despite saying how much I love it. But I feel like the mix adds quality to it, which in a way, you know, maybe that makes the mix good. But no, like the moment you listen to it, you start hearing crackling in your headphones if you look for it. It's actually kind of unlistenable to me on some headphones. Some of the crackling is like too extreme. I think it's at fault of the compression he was using, maybe. Anyway, like that song is like a religion to me. Like I was even just analyzing the sounds in isolation on the like BMS files. Like I'd listen to them a lot, and like his sound choice and the way he did it was just like, dude, you have this power to like choose the right sounds. Like that's how I felt listening to that. I never feel that way listening to many composers. Like if I like a lot of composers, it's usually not because of their like sound choice per se. It's just a combination of all their elements and, you know, their composition skills good and stuff like that. But the Lost Dedicated is different because this is like one of the most like atmospherically fantastic songs that I feel like I've heard. I don't even know why. Like I have studied this song a lot. Like I will say this, like I've said it a bunch already. I'm very passionate about this song. Um, and I will also say that, again, on my Midnight Sacrifice album that's coming, Magic Rock Moolah and Magic Stone Aristia are songs I composed with just absolute complete inspiration towards that style. I felt like that style was what I needed to emphasize those items from Phantasy Star Online, and boy, I am so pleased with these. I can't wait to release Magic Stone Aristia. I already released Magic Rock Moolah. Magic Stone Aristia is in E minor. Magic Rock Moolah was A minor. I transposed it down, and I kept the bass melody the same. So the first 20-30 seconds are about the same kind of, but it does sound different because the pitch is different. And then after that, the composition is completely different. It has a different vibe. It has different elements. The pizzicato actually becomes the lead for the most part. The piano melody makes lots of references to Magic Rock Moolah. Um, but yeah, Magic Rock Moolah also makes references to The Lost Dedicated. You will notice that the way the piano was written was done so in a way that I guess emphasizes the same notes that The Lost Dedicated did. I really did study that piece of music, just because I don't know. There's an emotion that comes off that song in just so many different ways for me, like just so many different ways. I don't know. I even thought about just composing like an entire album just based on my perception of that song. Like I feel that strongly about The Lost Dedicated. Um, but yeah, that's that. Um, I that's probably all I'll say about The Lost Dedicated in this video. Already approaching 2 fucking hours. Like, dude, I've talked so much. Like when I started this, it was God like 6 p.m. It's fucking 8:53 now. That's crazy. All right, on to the Evolution War. Let's get this over with, I guess. And the start of this was similar to Lost Dedicated, the structure at least. Like the kick will start, and then it's got the tambourine that eventually kicks in. And I really do want to comment on this like crying like sound I have in the background that like plays like every. I think it's playing the bass notes, but a lot of the melodies here, it really does just feel like classic old trance. I feel like I still feel emotion from this song a lot. I really do wish I made it longer, and I might eventually. This composition was also partially inspired by a lot of Shiki. I do like a lot of the elements I have in this song in general. Like, the overall atmosphere is just pretty great. I don't think the mix is that good, but I don't know, between like that one sound I had at the start, like this one. Not the lead melody, but the thing in the background that's playing at a constant rate. I'm probably not replicating the pitch very well. I'm not really good at that with my voice. But, it's in the background. There is, without that sound, this song is nothing, I think. Like, it doesn't sound good without that sound. It really made this song. I really do like using like special sounds like that, like just some kind of unusual sound that provokes an emotion. To me, that sound provokes an emotion. There really are just certain sounds that just strike me in a certain way that I just want to use them and emphasize them so much. Like it doesn't even matter if I play a particularly interesting rhythm with them. It's just that some sounds really feel fantastic to me. Like I just want to use them in some kind of way that only expresses them. And that was the same with Moonflower, like back to this sound. Yeah, the sound. Like, my original goal when I started that song anyway was to emphasize that sound, because that sound had a lot of emotion. And the way I used it, like the way I progressed it, felt like it had a lot of emotion too. I think a lot of people might even listen to that song. They wouldn't even say it's one of the more prominent ones. It's not exactly, but sometimes you enjoy something in a song that you don't think you enjoy. Because, like, for example, if you remove an element from your song, it adds a lot, but someone might not like the song anymore, despite them not thinking much of that particular element. Like, if I just remove that from Moonflower, the song's still playing, but it's missing that. And to me, that was the thing that really gave the song what it was. So all of a sudden, it just doesn't sound good to me anymore. And even though the listener might listen and not initially hear that song or that sound and enjoy it, the moment it's gone, they'll notice that it's gone, and then they'll realize, oh man, it was that sound that like really built this for me. It was something that I really liked from it. You don't always notice that. You start noticing as you compose, but as just a casual listener of music, you don't notice those things. Anyway. To the slow part. I did this because I wanted to focus on this like wind sound kind of. It's like a breathy, like windy, like sound. But I also have this like metal can like thing that's playing. This melody was heavily Shiki inspired, and I think anyone who listens can hear that. It's just got this like the same kind of melancholy that Shiki usually has in his music. And then I start doing. If you listen to like Jade Star, you'd hear this pattern. Dun 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 dun. That rhythm. It's playing with the synth. Maybe like saw. Is it a saw? I don't fucking. I'm not good at remembering those off the top of my head. Regardless, yeah, it's that sound. That's something Shiki did all the time. And then we kick back into the chorus. I think one of the really good things about the song is the rhythm I did with the hi-hats and just the percussion in the background in general. Like the percussion in the background has this really old feel to it, and the hi-hats have this really pleasant rhythm that just complement the piano so well. And they're also like fluctuating between ears. You can probably hear that. Yeah, and then it finishes and moves into the end. I really like the ending, just how it fades out the way it does. I'm really happy that the album overall ends like that. And yeah, that is The Evolution of War. This was composed over the course of 2023 entirely, and I didn't compose that much songs after this in 2023. I did finish some stuff and eventually, released Omaju, which was these songs. But I took my time with these. I still had about, I think, 4 months after releasing that, and I only got 12 songs done. It wasn't that many. I think I made some more actually, but I didn't like them, and I never released them. But yeah, I'll say it again, but I wanted to talk about this album. There was a lot of things on my mind about this album that I just wanted to get out there. Some things that I wanted to remember. Wanted to comment on some of the sound choices. How I felt when I was making them. Why I did some of the things I did. A lot of rambling that went on in this video, absolutely. But whatever. Maybe you'll find some inspiration from this. I know I'll be happy to look back on this eventually. My throat's starting to hurt from talking for 2 hours straight. All right. Yeah, that's the end of this, I guess. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm very pleased to answer anything. Yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you take if you watched this all the way through and you took anything from it, I'd be pretty pleased. I hope that maybe this could make some kind of difference to you. Maybe it's what makes you pick up music. Maybe you'll search for the kind of journey that I've had so far with music, and maybe you'll find more interesting things than I did, or I don't know. You might discover something from it. So I don't know. Get motivated. Make music. If it's not music, maybe you start drawing, start doing something else. But music, I must say, I have really enjoyed all of the exploration I was able to do through this. The amount of times that I was up till fucking 4 or 5 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I have to get up and go to school in 2 hours. But I was like, whatever, man. This is so fun. I'm exploring all these sounds and these sampling CDs and going through all these synthesizers and finding all these cool sounds that I like and making these songs that I'm so happy with it, especially at the time. And I'd start mapping some of the songs because I wanted to express them even more. And I just felt that crazy emotion and drive towards them because I don't know, they're really special to me. I don't know, even just every day I mentioned when I just listen to my music, I'm walking to school or I'm going anywhere, I'm going to work, and sometimes I go for a walk in the morning and get my coffee. Right now I'm trying to quit caffeine. Actually, I haven't had it in a few weeks. I'm trying to get some better sleep as of late, but I'm sure I'll get back on it. Like I'm you know, I don't want to, but knowing myself, I'm probably gonna go back to caffeine at some point. Hopefully, in more moderation. Anyway, yeah, I just I don't know. Sometimes I'd go on like very specific walks, and just listen to my tracks, and I don't know. I don't know if I mentioned I live in Japan and I moved here as a student. Uh, I am I don't know. The scenery in this country is really nice compared to where I lived in America. I'm not. I'm really probably not gonna ever move back to the United States. I think I'll be able to find a way to make it work here. But yeah, I don't know. Just walking around in like this country that's like, it's not crazy foreign to me anymore. I've been here for 2 years, but listening to these songs that I'm composing and walking around in this country and like seeing all these like beautiful things and seeing these shrines, being at like some like shrine at like 2 in the morning, listening to this like really crazy gothic song that I made that I named like "I Hope You Die," which is in I hope which is in my album Midnight Sacrifice that I hope you listen to or don't, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. uh, but just I don't know, it's so much fun to me. I know I'm rambling, whatever. But yeah, I'm concluding this video here. I bet this is going to be like a fucking 10-20 gigabyte file. I'm so angry. Oh, not really, but whatever. I hope the audio quality is okay. If it sounds like dog shit and I just recorded this for 2 fucking hours. Oh, it's so over, man. That would suck so bad. Like, oh my god. I would not do this again. You'd never get this video if that was fucked up. But yeah. Okay, I'm actually going to end it here. Thanks for watching, guys, if you did. So, catch you later. I'll probably do this for Midnight Sacrifice. Maybe a month or two after I've actually uploaded it and finished it and stuff. I've got some other stuff going on too that I need to work on. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys. Pew.